training, I'm going to go ahead and go over your manager responsibilities within the system. It's really important that you watch the employee level view video as well, just so you're aware of your employee responsibilities that you're overseeing, and then as well as your own responsibilities as an employee yourself. So today's training is going to pick off of your responsibilities, specifically as it pertains to timekeeping for approving timesheet change request, time off request, and then reviewing timesheets to ensure they're accurate and approving them for payroll. So once you get logged in, this will be your manager dashboard. We have your employee roster widget. So if you click directly to your employee roster widget, it'll take you to all of the list of employees that are directly underneath you. This is a really good way just to go ahead and take a look at their profiles. So I have all of my employees here underneath me. And then by clicking on this first icon, that'll take me directly to the employee information tab of that specific employee. From here, you can go ahead and browse. The first tab is going to be the most important. That's where you can see all of the personal information to get in contact with those employees, such as their email, their number, and then we also have their address here as well. The second tab is going to be their payroll. So if you're ever working directly with their hourly rate or their compensation, you can come here and take a look at exactly how much this employee is paid. So you can see for this test employee, they're paid at $10 an hour. We have a few other tabs that compose of HR information, such as their hired and start date. So especially for those terminated employees, if you ever wanted to review what date they were terminated, that information is going to be found here. Underneath the timekeeping and scheduling is where you'll be able to see all of their accrual balances. I'll show you a quick and easy way to view this directly from your dashboard. But if you're ever in the employee profile, this is where you'd be able to see their current balance. Once we get advanced scheduling set up, this is where you would be able to see the schedule that you are creating that schedule for and what that employee specific schedule is for that pay period. Underneath benefits, this is where everything's going to pull in as far as accruals or health benefits once we get it fully integrated in the system. And then the last profile is just going to be manager assignment and then their cost center / department. So you always want to be able to make sure that you are the assigned manager here. If at any point that you see there are other individuals assigned to these additional fields who should not be here, please go ahead and alert your representative immediately. Okay, so that's going to be everything regarding the employee profile. So if you click back to your green leaf logo here, it'll take you right back to your home. And then from there, we have our timekeeping widget. So this is going to have all hyperlinks directly to the main important things when it comes to timekeeping. So the biggest thing is going to be timesheets to approve. So once you select your timesheets to approve, it's going to pull in all of your employees for that current pay period, or excuse me, previous pay period, who need to have their timesheets approved and submitted for payroll. So what's important is for you to look at this approval state right here. For you as a manager, you can only approve timesheets that are in a submitted state. So if it's Monday and you're going to go ahead and approve your timesheets and any of these employees are still in the open state, that means that you need to get in contact with them to make sure that they're reviewing their timesheet and submitting it. To be 100% clear, when it comes to payroll Mondays, employees are responsible for submitting their timesheets by 11 a.m. on Monday. If they do not submit their timesheets, the system will auto submit it for them, so we do not hold up payroll. For you as a manager, you have until 2 p.m. on Mondays, payroll Mondays, to approve their timesheets. So it's really important that you're taking a look at this first thing Monday morning and pushing those employees to complete it by 11, so you can go ahead and have it from 11 to 2 p.m. to do your review and then submit. If you ever want to submit timesheets on a mass scale, so let's say that I've individually gone through all of these timesheets, they look good, they're all in the submitted state, we can go ahead and select this button here, and you can select all of them, and from there you can go ahead and approve it. I'm going to deselect all of those. We can go ahead and check them. If you ever wanted to look at the individual timesheets themselves, that's where the pencil icon comes into play. So let's go ahead and say for test employee, we have 72 hours. Let's take a look to make sure. Click on that pencil. This is where you're able to review. Okay, we have some missed punches here. Looks like this employee didn't take a lunch break for one of their days from 8 to 5. So there's definitely some inconsistencies on this timesheet where we would want to make sure that we're reaching back out to the employee before we approve it. So that's how you see the overall hours. If you have any employees that are on an auto deduct lunch, how you would see that is you can come here to the calculated detail tab. And then in this column right here, you would be able to see the auto deduct lunch. So those are going to be specifically just for delivery drivers of the company. Okay, let's go ahead and click back. And then we'll go right back. So again, if we looked at that test employee and it looked good, then we can go ahead and select it here and then hit approve. So those are going to be how you review your timesheets on a mass level and then approve on a mass level as well. If you ever have an employee who, let's say it's 11:05, their timesheet has auto submitted past the 11 o'clock deadline, and they reach out to you and they still have additional changes, you can reject that timesheet. So let's say it's for that one, you can select them and then hit that reject button, and it will push it back over to the employee for them to make their adjustments, and then they can go ahead and submit it. All right, let's go ahead and click back to the Greenleaf logo. The next item we have are pending time off to approve. So this is really helpful as well. So if you select that, it'll give you all of your employee time off requests that have been submitted and not yet approved. So I always like to take a look at their first and last name, the requested date. So this employee is requesting tomorrow off for sick leave. Just note that you will not be able to approve any type of time off request unless the employee has the full balance. And an employee would not be able to submit a time off request unless they have the full balance as well. So from there, you can go ahead and select the item and then you can approve it. So it will tell you a little bit of information here. So it's stating that this employee already has hours logged for 2/2, and you can choose to approve the time off request or skip it so it does not exceed the 8 hours. Awesome. So now that it's approved it, it's removed it from my pending approvals, and now I don't have any more time off requests to approve. Alrighty, the next item are going to be your pending change request to approve. So these are going to be any type of time changes to their timesheets. I like to use it directly here on my dashboard just because it's a little bit quicker and easier. So I can go ahead and I see I have two employees, the test employee and the test department manager. If I scroll over, these are the entry dates. So on the 25th, they're adding a punch out. And then this employee for 2/1 is modifying a punch in. So from there, you can go ahead and take a look all the way over and you can see that this person is adding a punch in for 5 o'clock and this person is changing their clock in time from 8 to 7:30. So this is going to be your quick view. You can go ahead and click this button here. It'll take you to that pending timesheet change request where you're going to have the same exact information. I'm looking at that employee and I'm like, okay, they did not punch out. They added the 5 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and select it and approve it. And then this department manager, they clocked in late, so they're changing their time from 8 to 7:30. And then I remembered I did see that employee come in at 7:30, so that's accurate. I can go ahead and select it and hit approve as well. If at any point they do not look correct, you can reject it. It will require you to put a comment. And then you'd go ahead and enter that comment. It'll kick it back over to the employee and let them know why it was rejected. However, looks good, we'll go ahead and just hit approve. Once we hit approve, it will automatically dump it directly on the timesheet. So if I come back to our timekeeping widget and I look at timesheets to approve, let's take a look at that test employee. So they submitted a punch in for 5 o'clock on the 26th. So it auto applied that here. So now that this timesheet looks really good, then at that point, we would go ahead and be able to approve it because all of the timesheet change requests have been approved. If I come back to this main report, you can see I now have 0 data because the only 2 pending ones I went and I cleared those out. So now I'm good to go for payroll. The next, let's just go ahead and move over within our mailbox. So the next item is your to-do item. So these are going to be any type of timesheets that you need to approve. So you can approve them directly through here, and then they're also going to show up on your mailbox. So you can see here for that test employee, I then have the option to approve directly here. So if I wanted to, I can hit approve. And then you can see it now removes it directly from my to-do items. And that for that employee, it pushed it over to payroll and then it's ready for Deanna. The next one is going to be checklists. So these are going to be any type of checklist for you as a manager, as well as your own personal employee account. All right, let's go back up to the timekeeping widget. The next one are going to be all timesheets this year. So you typically don't need to review this just because it's for the entire year and we really want to focus just on the pay period. But if you ever wanted to look at every single timesheet for the year, you can always search by specific names. So you can go ahead and search in employee information, and then it'll pull up all of the timesheets for the entire year for that specific employee. Being that it's only been January and we're just now in February, for this account, we only have, let me actually clear that one out. We only have one timesheet for this year so far. Awesome. Okay. And then the very last one is just going to be current timesheets. So you can select current timesheets or timesheets to approve. Timesheets to approve will usually be the previous pay period. So it'll be closed out, and then current timesheets will be the pay period that we're currently in, just so you can go ahead and take a look at the times to make sure that you're taking a look at them before the pay period ends and that you don't have a lot of backed up items. Okay, the next one we have is your own personal information. So again, we kind of covered all of this information in the employee level view as well. So this is where you would access it and be able to complete those steps that we covered in the employee level training. You also have the ability to request your own time off. And then if you click on this help icon, we gave you two options. So you have a knowledge center that's specific to the manager level, and then a knowledge center that's specific to the employee level, just because, again, you are your own employee and then you also manage employees as well. And the very last thing we're going to cover here are just going to be our main dashboards. So these are what we call widgets, and then these are our dashboards. So you're most likely going to be on the home dashboard the most often. And then we also have an attendance stats. So your attendance stats is really helpful. This is where you get to see your attendance board. So you will have a list of all of your employees, and it'll tell you for the current day if they're currently clocked in or out. So I can see I have a total of 3 employees, and 2 of my employees are clocked in and 1 is out. This is mostly helpful just if you know that you have 7 employees that are currently on staff and scheduled for that day, and then you can go ahead and make sure that if they're all supposed to be in at 7:30, it's now 8 o'clock. Let me do a quick glance to make sure everyone's clocked in correctly. The next one is going to be missing punches. So we just cleared out our missing punches when we approved that time off request. But had I not approved it, I would have seen that for that test employee that they were missing a punch for the January 26th, and it would have told me what day and what time. So that's going to be how you can go ahead and keep an eye on employees that don't clock out for the day, or when they clock back in for lunch and then they forget to clock out completely. The next one are going to be our exceptions. So our exceptions will show you any type of meal penalties. So if an employee does not take their meal break before the 5th hour, we'll go ahead and see that here. If you have any employees that are absent, or if any tardies. So once we get advanced scheduling set up, you'd be able to see all of the exceptions here. So you can see for this test employee, for the 9th, they need to add a punch. So that's a missing punch. And then also this person was scheduled based on advanced scheduling to come in on the 12th, and they didn't have any punches for the day. So that means that it's registering them as absent. So the reason why this is really helpful, again, is as you're getting closer to the end of payroll, you can do a quick glance to make sure that this is all cleared up. The goal is to not have any type of missing punches or any meal penalties. But obviously with meal penalties, that tends to happen from time to time. So those ones don't typically need to be cleared out. The biggest one are going to want to be missing punches. All right. If we go to our time stats, this is going to be any timesheets that are still waiting your approval. So you can go ahead, if you go to your time stats, you can click here and it'll take you directly to that report. So I like that, it's really helpful. The other one we're going to have is any type of employees that are approaching overtime. So any time that exceeds 8 hours in one day or over 40 hours in 1 week, it'll go ahead and show you. So you can see that this employee has 40 hours and 2.5 hours of weekly overtime. This helps us keep the cost down for our locations, just to make sure we're not having any repeat offenders that are consistently accruing overtime when they shouldn't be without approval. And this one is going to show you any type of employees that have actually worked overtime versus this one is approaching overtime. Okay. And the very last tab that we have is just our time off tab. So this is going to show you a quick glance of all of the time off requests that are still opened and needing your review and approval. And then we have your entire accrual balance report here as well. So this will show you all of your employees and then what their accrual balances are. So you can take a quick look at those before you come up here and click on them and approve them. So those are going to be all of the main items for the manager timekeeping. Our goal is to really be on top of the timesheets for employees to ensure that by that 2 p.m. deadline, that everything is cleaned up and ready to be submitted. And then by that 2 o'clock deadline, ready to be approved to sent over to payroll. If you have any questions about the system, please reach out to me on Slack or give me a call, and I'm more than happy to do individual trainings if necessary. Thank you so much.